So this is my presentation, my to be Ignite presentation, and it's on fixed ratio, fixed interval, variable ratio, and variable interval. And it's presented by Megan Gibson for EDG 699. So, what is a fixed ratio? It's a schedule of reinforcement requiring a fixed number of responses for reinforcement. An example is every fourth correct or target response produces reinforcement on a FR4 schedule. So, fixed ratio continued. B.F. Skinner conceptualized each ratio requirement as a response unit. Each response unit produces the reinforcer, not just the last response of the ratio. And if you look over here to the side, here is a chart, and it has all the different ratios and different intervals on there. And if you look right here, you can see the purple line is the fixed ratio. So, what is fixed interval? Fixed interval, a schedule of reinforcements in which reinforcement is delivered for the first response emitted, following the passage of a fixed duration of time since the last response was reinforced. So, an example on an FI. So, on an FI 3-minute schedule, the first response following the passage of 3 minutes is reinforced. Fixed interval continued. No response during the interval is reinforced. The first response following the interval is reinforced. Produces a low rate of responding during the early part of the interval, but toward the end, an accelerating rate of response that reaches a maximum rate just before the delivery of the reinforcer. And these are some key points about fixed intervals. So, what is a variable ratio? A schedule of reinforcement requiring a varying number of responses for reinforcement. The number of responses required varies around a random number. The mean number of responses required for reinforcement is used to describe the schedule. And a really good example is like gambling using the machines, using the arm machines. Variable ratio continued. VR schedules produce consistent, steady rates of response. They typically do not produce a post reinforcement pause like fixed ratio schedules. They produce constant, steady rates of response, and they do not produce a post reinforcement pause as do fixed ratio schedules. And if you look over here, it's a really good illustration about how variable response works. So, what is variable interval? It provides reinforcement for the first correct response, followed by the elapse of variable durations of time, occurring in a random or an unpredictable order. The mean duration of the intervals is used to describe the schedule. And a really good example is like checking your email. You really don't know when you're going to get it, it's really never at the same time, it's unpredictable. So, variable interval continued. Behaviors learned on a variable interval schedule are highly resistant to extinction because the reward is already unpredictable. If it stops entirely, the subject will continue the behavior for a long time, assuming the next reward is simply taking longer than usual to arrive. An example, your boss randomly checking in. So, in summary, a fixed ratio is reinforcement after a set number of responses, a fixed interval reinforcement after a varying number of responses, variable ratio reinforcement after a set amount of time, and variable interval reinforcement after varying amounts of time. And here's my resources, and I